guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about change, how to change your life, how to begin healing. This year has just been a very intense year of healing for me, and I feel like most of our lives we are all healing from something or trying to change or be better or whatever it is, but this all started because I found my old sketchbook and I've been meeting with a designer and I have been trying to just make certain pieces of clothing. And I thought, hey, I'll bring this to Cuba and write in it and sketch in it. And I was flipping through the pages and I found an old suicide note of mine. And it's really dark, so I'm not going to read it. It's really triggering. But I remember when I wrote this, I don't know exactly what month it was. It could have been earlier this winter or the end of last winter, but I just know that it was cold outside, and after I wrote this I was walking and pacing back and forth and I had so much anxiety and I just wanted to jump off of the Golden Gate Bridge, and I just felt like I had to escape. I just had to escape. I was feeling very suicidal and just so strange to read this, especially being in such a beautiful place with beautiful people and realizing how much my life has changed in such a short period of time. And I started to wonder, how did I do this? How did my thought process go from waking up every day thinking about death to being in Cuba or to having gone to Mexico or just to feeling okay with traveling and leaving my apartment? And not feeling anxiety every single waking moment. And so I kind of wrote some notes down and I wanted to share how I began to change my life and how I began to heal from trauma and abuse and just pain in general. And I wanted to share that with you. Sib was like, wow, I can't believe that you're gonna keep writing in that journal. That'd be very hard for me to do, to just continue writing in something that had such a negative energy and such a negative space. And I told her that I'm still occupying this body that once thought those thoughts, that once wrote this letter, and I'm still occupying that same space within myself, and I'm just changing it and replacing it with positive energy and positive habits, and I'm rewriting the pages of this book like I'm rewriting the pages of my life. The first thing, the very most important thing, is don't try to change yourself. I think everyone who's sad automatically thinks they're wrong, they're not normal, they should be like someone else, and compares themselves to someone else who's happy and can function normally and says, wow, I need to be more like that person. But that's completely distracting and completely counterproductive, because you're not that person, you're yourself. And the reason that you have certain anxieties and certain triggers is because of your life and what your life has presented to you and your journey, and it's just a waste of time to compare yourself or to say that you should be like someone else, you should be normal like someone else. Accept how you are in the moment. Accept that you get anxiety when you leave the house, or that you have so many triggers. Identify all your triggers, that's really important. But just get to know your habits and get to know in what ways that you're damaging yourself and hurting yourself, instead of being in denial and beating yourself down so much that you aren't even helping yourself. For a while I just convinced myself that I was happy because I did things that should have made me happy, but they weren't. When I finally identified with the fact that I'm dealing with depression and the fact that I was dealing with intense suicidal thoughts and I had an attempt like every other week, I was able to start healing, like just being honest and being like, okay, this is the problem. The first step is identifying that you have a problem. I'm sure that we've all heard that in regards to many things, but that is also applicable with depression and sadness and your own emotions. Identify your habits ultimately and begin to try and change the self-damaging ones, which sounds harder than it is, but overall awareness is the first step. Just being okay with yourself. I feel like we judge ourselves through someone else's eyes, but just look at yourself, your own life, your own journey through your own eyes and notice how you are, and don't completely beat yourself down or deny that you are sad and that you are struggling. Just notice it and be like, okay, this is where I am in life, this is how I am, and this is how I treat myself as a result of it. For me, after that happened, I was able to find a therapist that my insurance covered. I was able to start changing my self-damaging habits. You can find a friend, or you can get an app where they have therapists on this app. I forget what it's called, I'll try and link it down below. But I know that some people's parents refuse to believe in mental illness, and I'm really sorry if that's your situation. That makes me really sad. because it's so hard for people to control their thoughts and minds, and there aren't many people in this life who can just make everything happy and can always be happy. Like, that's not a reality for most people, and it still shocks me that parents can say that to their child. Just say you're choosing to be sad, when it's not, you know, it's not necessarily always a choice. Like, yeah, sometimes you can make yourself sad because of how you react to a certain situation, but other times it's like a physical response, or it's a chemical imbalance, or it's just your body being triggered as a result of past trauma, and it's an instant bodily response and weight and sadness, and you can't always control it. So it just makes me sad that parents still don't recognize depression or anxiety or suicidal thoughts like as something that we don't choose for ourselves. But yeah, try and acknowledge your very self-damaging habits and change those, and notice that you do want to be better for yourself and that you want to stop those habits because they're not helping you. The next one is very important. When you fall down, don't be so hard on yourself. Even if you're in despair for days or weeks, don't let the weight of the past add sadness to that moment. Like, every time I used to get really sad and really down in the dumps, and when something would trigger me, I would think about the years of sadness and the years of pain that I had gone through, and the fact that I was never going to get better, and the fact that I can't believe I'm still struggling with this at 19 years old or 18 years old, and that would just make me so much more sad and make me so much more anxious and depressed, and it made it harder to rise out of those states because I decided that my state of being was depression and it would always be depression. And instead of that, I don't let the weight of the past project fear onto the present moment. I don't let the weight of what once was stop me from the possibility of being happy now. I learned to pick myself up. After the sadness, I learned to identify with the fact that yes, sometimes I do get triggered, and sometimes it just hits me like a brick wall and I just feel like I have to crawl into a little shell for a few days. And I began to be okay with that and not be so hard on myself when that happened, because that's just something that happens to me, and I don't want to be a prisoner to the past. I realize that, and so whenever that happens, I know it's going to pass. What I do, some of my coping methods are listening to music. Going for a walk is such an amazing one, because walks for me are very meditative. Just going outside, looking up at the sky, seeing other people, seeing children, and listening to my music. It's just a really, really great experience and just really makes me calm down. Another thing, just, I think, did I say doing yoga? Just falling on my yoga mat, maybe just lying down even with my arms stretched above my head. That just feels really good. Get some nice deep breaths in there when I do that. You can phone a friend. For me, when I'm having a panic attack or when I'm feeling super depressed, I don't necessarily really like to talk to people. I just like to text everyone and say I'm not available for this amount of time, and that's what I do at that moment. Be okay with the fact that it happens, especially if it's something that reoccurs and you don't necessarily have control over it. Don't be so hard on yourself when you fall down again, because you're just preventing yourself from being lifted back up. You know, you're only prolonging the process of being down by thinking about all the other times that you have been down. The more that you fall down and pick yourself up, the easier it will be, and emotions really are just like clouds floating in the sky. They come and they go, and the sun will always shine. I know that sounds cliche, but you will feel the sun shining. So some examples or some ways that you can change your life are by doing yoga and meditation every morning. I know these sound so basic and so overspoken, but I feel like a lot of people like to talk about doing yoga and meditation because it seems aesthetically pleasing, or it seems cool to kind of have your life together in that way, or to have these practices in your life, but really they are so healing, and they are great practices for finding peace and solace within yourself, and yoga just connects you to your body. I'll link some of Koi's meditation videos down below, and I'll link Yoga with Adrienne's channel down below. She has like a bunch of yoga camps, and they're really easy to follow, really nice flows, so you can do those every single day. And basically it's just really good to set up positive habits and patterns for yourself, so that when you break down, you have these things to fall back on, or these will just make you live your life a little bit more at ease, you know, when you are meditating and clearing your mind every morning and not letting your thoughts control you. It's just really good for your mental health. Just writing down how you feel, honestly, it's good to keep track of your moods. If you are kind of manic, or if you do struggle with sadness, it is good to just write things down. It'll help you figure yourself out more, help you identify where your sadness is coming from, which is very important, especially if you don't have anyone that you feel comfortable talking to, which I didn't for a while. So I would write down my true, honest feelings and emotions and my past and my traumas, everything like that. I would write it down, and that really helped. One of you asked how to make journaling exciting and fun, and I think the best way is just to make your life like a story, you know? Tell it like you're reading a book. Like, instead of saying I went to the subway, say I left my house, I felt the cold breeze on my cheek. I thought it strange how the sun was shining and yet it was 20 degrees outside. As I walked to the subway, my eyes glanced upon a young girl with an apple in her hand. Her cheeks were red. I saw her breath in the air. I don't know, just random fucking details. It just makes it so fun when you kind of tell your life like a story. It's really addicting. And another thing that you can do if you want to manifest some stuff is to kind of write your life how it would be if you had everything that you wanted. Imagine just waking up and all your dreams coming true, and write down what it's like. Like, this morning I woke up in Paris. I went for coffee at my favorite place down the street. My boyfriend, I don't know, met me there. It's a really good practice for manifestation to just kind of write some journal entries on how you would feel with all the abundance in your life that you wish for, how you would feel if all of your dreams and desires came true, what it would be like if you had those, what would your thoughts be, how would your life be, and that can also be really fun. Another way to start your life anew and just a positive change that you can make is reading anything that gives you pleasure. It doesn't have to be a self-help book. It's fun to escape sometimes into a really, really great book. It's way better than watching TV because you're working your mind, you're learning new words. I think school makes people hate books because we're forced to read them and then we never want to read a book again, but there are so many amazing fun books out there to read. When I was younger, I used to love just reading books about drama, like, I forget what they were called, like the Click books or something like that, just random rich girls who had drama-filled lives and there was scandal and boyfriends, and that was what I liked to read when I was younger. Now I really like reading sci-fi books and adventure books and fairy tales, things like that. The next thing is standing up for yourself. If someone is triggering you, if someone is harming you and they are in the wrong, speaking up and feeling like you're worthy of voicing your pain and by calling them out. Like, you are worthy of that, and it took me a while to feel that way, and it took me a very long time to be able to start standing up for myself. And for when people, if they were being mean to me, I would just take their shit, I would do things for them, I would let myself suffer instead of just trying to change the dynamic of my relationships and saying, hey, this hurts me every time that you do this and I need you to stop doing it. Just something as simple as that can really change your life. And you don't necessarily have to cut out people in your life who aren't the best for you immediately. You can try and tell them what's up and give them a chance to change the way that they act around you, especially if they do care about you and they don't realize they're hurting you. It can just really help to speak how you're feeling, because sometimes people just don't notice. Leads me into my next thing, is to be aware of why others are hurting you, because you can get triggered just by being a sensitive person. Like, I'm a sensitive person, and sometimes I would just feel like people were just out to hurt me when really they were just being themselves, and I'm sensitive, which there's nothing wrong with, but I had to realize that they weren't trying to hurt me or make me sad. And then sometimes people were, and that's when I would stand up for myself. But just be aware of why others may be causing you pain, whether it's intentional or not, or if they're just a mean person, maybe try and realize where that might be coming from. You know, maybe they experienced some pain, maybe someone treated them shitty and so they're treating you shitty. Just try and have some awareness of why others are hurting you. I kind of spoke about this, but having positive coping methods for anxiety and depression, which, like I said, my number one is going for a walk. This isn't in any way trying to convince yourself to be happy. People who do yoga and meditate aren't instantly just happy people all the time. In fact, people who do that rely on that so that they can stay happy and positive. These are really great methods of healing, and I do recommend them, so you don't even have to tell anyone you're doing it. Honestly, just do it for yourself. That's the whole point of this, is you're helping yourself and you're facing your own life and changing your own life with only your own judgment. Different things will just make your life more stable and will probably help you function a little bit better throughout your day. The next thing is not looking at your phone while you're doing any task, while you're doing homework, while you're in class. I know that's really hard. I've only recently realized that I could be able to do that because I break my phone a lot, or I lose my phone, or I just don't have attachment to my phone. It'll literally be dead for like days at a time. It saves so much time when you do a task without looking at your phone, doing laundry, doing homework, when I'm editing a video, anything, when I'm reading even. Like, I know that sounds weird, but I used to read and then check my phone like every few pages or every chapter, and it was just a huge distraction. So make everything happen a little bit faster and you can put your full attention into whatever you're doing. Have a calendar and keep track of how many days you've been following your new schedule of yoga or meditation or journaling or going for a walk every morning. In the summertime, I will go on just walks, and like walks in the morning, walks at night, and these are walks where I have no purpose. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just listening to my music and clearing my head, and I do that quite often. And so even something like that, just X out a day in your calendar if you did any of those things, if you did any of your positive coping methods. Just keep track of it, and it takes, I think, 6 to 8 weeks to actually form a habit. So try and make your goal to do yoga, meditation, journaling for 6 to 8 weeks. I'm not sure which one it is. I'll put a caption here. But yeah, try to set that goal for yourself. And lastly, don't do these things for others. Do these things for your own happiness, for your own well-being. That's the whole point, is this is your life, and you have to be okay with where you are, and comparing yourself and denying how you actually are will not help you improve at all. And that's pretty much like the biggest message of this. You can start today, but the first thing you have to do is just accept yourself and realize that change is possible, and healing can begin right now just by writing down how you feel, crying your eyes out on a piece of paper, just scribbling out those emotions. I know when I'm really sad, my handwriting just looks like chicken scratch because I'm trying to get everything that's in here out on a piece of paper and just let it go, just remove it from myself in some way, and that just really, really helps. The last thing I just wanted to say was, reading this note, I have overcome so many of the things that I spoke about. Pretending to be okay, I don't do that anymore. If I'm falling apart, I voice that as much as I can. I don't think about the pain. In a lot of this letter, I'm just talking about the pain that has happened, the pain that I have felt, the pain that has been hidden, the love that has fallen apart, and I was just focusing so much on what was lost and what was in the past, and the walls that I haven't been able to break down because I'm ashamed. Well, I have finally started speaking to someone, and she's helped so much, and I have been able to break down so many walls and like not only write how I'm feeling and write my trauma and write my past, but speak it and share it with someone and have someone to just guide me through everything that has happened. That has really helped, and I just feel like a lot of that has just been lifted off my shoulders, and I'm so glad that I didn't give up. I'm so glad that I'm still here, and I just want to continue taking every single day as it is and not having any bias towards how I should be feeling as a result of the past, you know? I really, really appreciate you. I will never be able, I don't think, to express my gratitude enough, but I am so thankful that you're here and that you're alive and that you're trying and that you're struggling, and I believe in you so much. And I do believe that you are worthy, and if you don't feel like that sometimes, maybe just have the mantra, I am worthy of this, I am worthy of this, or I am growing from this. Mantras actually really help. When I was in high school having panic attacks, I would just keep saying, everything is going to be okay, everything is going to be okay. I would listen to Bob Marley, and not all the time, but I would always just say, everything is going to be okay whenever I was having my panic attacks, and it made them pass so much quicker. I really realized that instantly, like within the first few days that I started doing that. It just made me feel so much more peaceful, because when you have an anxiety attack, everything is just telling you it's not going to be okay. So just having that is really good. Or when you're in a new social situation and you're feeling nervous or self-conscious or whatever it may be, I am worthy, I am worthy. Just keep saying that, because you are worthy of the friendships and you are worthy of love. And I know this is kind of advice that I'm giving to myself, because I'm still struggling with that, like feeling like and identifying with the fact that I do deserve so many gifts from the universe and that I'm attracting them, and that it's okay to accept myself, because I haven't for so long that it's like weird to just be okay with yourself almost. It's like I don't want to sometimes, but that's a whole other video, I don't know. But I am also practicing that mantra, I am worthy of this, I am worthy of this, and that's just another little tip. But thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!